Good afternoon, everyone. Our time is fast spent, so in respect of your time, please permit me to stand on established protocol. My name is Omowale David-Ashiru. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer of NewGlobe. We're supposed to have a presentation, but I'll just go ahead. So first of all, thank you for having NewGlobe contribute to this important conversation on education funding in Nigeria. This topic is very honest. Around the world and here in Nigeria, money is tight. Global aid is shrinking. Domestic budgets are competing with many urgent demands. We heard the DG of NGF give the statistics. Nigeria spends roughly about 2 to 3% of our GDP on education. Global benchmarks recommend between 4 and 6%. So of course, there's a debate about whether we need to spend more. I don't even think it's a debate. Of course, if the benchmark is 4 to 6% and we're spending only 2 to 3%, we obviously need to spend more. But before we focus on how much more we need to spend, I believe this program here is really asking a deeper question, or at least that's the way I would like to see it. How well are we spending what we already have? Okay, so since this is an education forum, let me make this a classroom. How many parents do we have here? Parents. Okay, we have a number of parents here. So let me ask you a question. Assume you gave your child 2 days ago, you gave them 50,000 naira. This morning, your child called you and said, "Mommy, Daddy, I need more money." Please, what's the first question you will ask? What's the first question you ask? Can I have a hand so that I can hear you properly? Did I? Okay, this is a mother. That's how mothers ask questions. Did I not give you 50,000 naira yesterday? But what would you will ask, what did you use the money for? Okay. Oh, okay. There it is. So, recent data from UNICEF shows that 70 to 75% of Nigerian children aged 7 to 14 cannot read a simple sentence or do basic math. I know you may have heard this many times before, but I want us to let that sink in. 75% of children aged 7 to 14 cannot read a simple sentence or do basic math. That is a serious gap between effort or investment and outcome. If these were health statistics and we were talking about children failing to thrive, I'm sure we would call it a national emergency. In education, it seems like background noise. So for this little time that we have together, I'd like us to just keep one simple question in front of us. For every Naira invested in education in Nigeria, what learning result are we buying? What learning result are we buying? Because if we cannot answer that question with clarity, then adding more money alone will not fix the problem. I know it's an unpopular opinion, but more money isn't always the solution. Maybe I'm speaking as an economist. The good news, The good news is that Nigeria already has examples of what smarter outcome-focused spending looks like in practice. I'm sure in many states, we've heard about it, people are doing a lot. Permit me to talk about states that I know of, that at least we have partnered with. In Bayelsa, and my dear brother and colleague, the Commissioner of Education for Bayelsa is here, under their Bayelsa Prime Initiative, we have seen reading fluency more than double. Double. In a local government in Bayelsa, some schools, I want you to listen to this, just one local government in Bayelsa. Some schools now have early literacy accuracy that mirrors what you have in the United States. This is in Bayelsa. Yes. I mentioned the United States not because I think the US is better than Nigeria, but to drive home the point that something that looks impossible, how does a local government in Bayelsa in the hinterlands, in a river, in a state that has flooding issues, how do you get children there to be reading at the same level as the US? This is not a story. We have worked with them. We've seen this data. This is true. In Kwara, we heard from the Honorable Commissioner for Higher Education from Kwara, and we also have the Honorable Commissioner for Education in Kwara here. Their Kwara Learn program, I'm talking about investment. So this is with what they already have, what they're doing. They have invested in they've reached over 1,600 schools. They have supported and trained over 7,000 teachers, and they're already transforming the lives through quality education of over 200,000 pupils. Right. So interestingly, what I want to bring out is that these gains that these states, and there are other states, these are just two, did not come from building luxury classrooms or buying all the students expensive gadgets, even though, in fairness, they have tried to improve their infrastructure. It's also important. But these gains specifically came from a set of practical choices about how to use funds. And this is the crux of the matter. We have limited funds. How are you using it? First, they invested in structured pedagogy. Every teacher has a clear daily guide aligned to the state curriculum, and they can deliver their lessons confidently. It is not dependent on the skill or how great the teacher is. It has been planned and they have been supported. Second, and we've heard a lot about this, they have real-time digital data so that their commissioners, the SUBEB chair, the governor, and their teams can see what is happening in every school and act quickly in terms of learning. Third, they've invested in ongoing coaching and classroom support for teachers, because we all know that it's not a one-off training or workshop or one-off schooling that is going to keep you empowered as a teacher. Ongoing coaching, field support, being there, giving you the new tools, AI, seeing what you're doing and telling you what you can do better. They've invested in that. So from a finance perspective, what is also important is that these states did not wait for a new donor window. We're grateful for all the donors that are coming in and the development partners. We need that, right? But they started on, I'm in commercial, so I would talk about even in commercial businesses. We have private sector people here. Even in running your own business, no one will invest in your business if you haven't already put your own investment in it. These states, as well as many others in Nigeria, have reallocated their existing budgets towards what actually improves learning. I'm going to try and rush through. So, I won't take too much time. I've mentioned some of the things they've done, but I think perhaps I also want to hone in on the fact that even if there's not enough money, I'll go back again to my friends in Bayelsa. Bayelsa is the smallest state in Nigeria. So if anyone has an excuse to say, I don't have enough funds, it should be Bayelsa. Bayelsa is an area that is challenged with demographic issues. I'm not trying to make them look bad. They're actually doing a good thing. But they have floods. They're the only state I'm aware of that has to close their school term for a flood break. So students are not able to go to school. And yet, we're seeing results where children are reading at the level of the US because they chose to use the limited funds they have to invest in learning outcomes. And that's the point that I'm just here to make. So, I would like to play a 1-minute video to let you know how different states are investing and what the results are. Because I don't want you to just hear from me. Perhaps I'm just a good speaker. It would be good for you to hear from the field. I'm not sure if this is going to play. No, it's not. Okay, let me move on because of time. But what you would have seen in the video is we went to schools that are states that are investing, like we said, their existing budget. States like Lagos State, Bayelsa, Jigawa, Edo, I've mentioned Kwara, and we went there and you would see video of things that are happening, transformation, children in the riverine areas, in the rural areas. So we're not just talking about the urban areas. You will see them reading, speaking. You will see teachers saying how grateful they are. And most importantly, we heard from parents. Parents were saying, we are proud now. People were laughing at those of us who couldn't afford to send our children to private schools. But now these public schools, the governors there, the commissioners there, the SUBEB chairs there invested in learning outcomes. So let me just quickly try to wrap up. So how do we translate all of this into practical directions for education finance in our current climate? First, please, let us fund measurable learning, not only inputs. Inputs are, the buildings, the digital, all of those things. Those are fine. But what is the result? Fund solutions that will bring measurable learning. That means asking of every budget line and every partner that the states decide to work with, including NewGlobe, ask, what is the learning outcome linked to this spending? What is the return on investment? Simple, frequent assessments in the early grades can tell you whether the investments are improving literacy and numeracy where it matters most. That is the kind of evidence that will convince finance ministries, donors, and other people to invest and bring more money, which we still need to sustain the gains. Second, protect and target funding for the hardest to reach children. Too often, money flows to where it's easiest to disburse, not where the need is greatest. Equity-based funding formulas that allocate more to rural, poor, or conflict-afflicted local governments can help. Partner with organizations that are already working in such places. Organizations working in Liberia, in the Central African Republic, which has the lowest literacy rates ever, and nobody wants to go to. Partner with organizations who are already doing stuff there. Partner with organizations who are working in the hinterlands of northern Nigeria and show that quality public education is possible, even in the most constrained environments. I am extremely proud, but also humbled to say that these are the kind of environments NewGlobe works in. We go to places many others won't, because every child can and should learn. Third and final, in a time of shrinking aid, the highest return on investment is in systems that stretch every Naira. Digital infrastructure that provides visibility into your teacher presence. Are they teaching? Are they delivering the lessons? Is the learning progressing as it should? And it costs just a few dollars per school, per month, truly. Yet it transforms how a system is managed. In environments without constant electricity or internet, the right technology must still work. I'm going to digress a bit because it's not just about bringing technology. We all know we're working to improve it in Nigeria, but we don't have 24/7 light. In the rural areas, they don't have Wi-Fi or internet. And yes, people will tell you the solution is bringing smartphones and all that. How will they charge it? Work with technology that will work in those areas. I'm proud to say that the NewGlobe tablets that we deploy are custom e-inked and cheaper than those ones. But with a single charge, you can use it for 2 to 3 weeks. So even if you don't have light, teachers can still teach. Children can still learn. So, make no mistake, teacher effectiveness, and this is really important, remains the single strongest and most cost-efficient driver of learning improvement in the world. We should not be, somebody mentioned, I think Premium Trust talked about AI, and it's true, we're in the world of AI. But we should not be trying to replace our teachers with smartphones and AI, but rather training and empowering them to do what they do best using smartphones and AI. From NewGlobe's side, our interest is in being a useful technical partner to the states who have the political will, and I see many of them here, they're our friends, who have the political will and the drive to make the shifts using what they have while they wait to get more. But the real story is not about us in NewGlobe. It's about what Nigerian states like Bayelsa, Jigawa, Lagos, Kwara are already achieving when funding is linked to learning outcomes. If we align our finance choices with those principles, even in an era of global funding pressure, Nigeria can show that public education systems in Africa can improve fast, at scale, and in a way that is politically and fiscally sustainable with what we have while we wait to get more. Thank you very much.